Today, we are talking starting pitchers and must-add starting pitchers at that. We have 5 pitchers that are starting this weekend that you need to get on your rosters. And then we have 5 two-start pitchers for next week that you also need to add now on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominick Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ahne, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ahne. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us as well. And lastly, but what's most important this time of year, you need that, secret weapon, that competitive edge that's going to get you over your league mates in your fantasy leagues, and that's going to be joining Matt and I on the Subtext platform, where you're going to get text messaging alerts right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in this 30-minute podcast. And this time of year, you're going to get a waiver wire players ranked, and you're going to get a little reason behind that. You're also going to get instant call-up notifications. Once again, text messaging alerts with those call-up notifications right to your phone when players like Roman, Andrew Painter, and more get called up. So if you are interested in joining us on the Subtext platform, the link is in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And guys, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And all right, Matt, fun episode here. And guys, you know what? This is an episode we might move around, might play with a little bit. So sound off in the comments. Let us know if you like this kind of episode. If you guys like it, we'll keep working with it. If not, suggest something else for us. Because as I mentioned, this is an episode we might play around with a little bit. But I'll mention it again. Today we're going to do 2-star pitchers up top. Going to be 2-star pitchers for next week for you guys. The second half of the episode is going to be 5 pitchers that are starting this weekend. That might help you get some strikeouts, a little ERA, a little bit of whip, maybe some wins. So stick around. Great episode for you guys today. But Matt, who do we got up first when we're talking 2-start pitchers for next week?
Well, probably one of my sneaky little dark horses this year, and that's Mr. Casey Mize of Detroit Tigers. So the first start is a little bit rough, but if you're in a situation where your pitching's really hurt, you just need to be able to go out there and get the counting stats. Mize is going up against the Yankees. I would avoid it at all costs, but if you have to roll him out, roll him out. But that second start, though, for next week, that one is looking really nice. Going up against the Twins. They got blown out by the Sox and wearing the hat 9-0 last week. And now they really just haven't been putting together a great thing. They got pretty much swept by the Cards. Sox have been giving them a run for their money. They won 1 out of the 2, but that one win was 9-0. Now playing the Astros. I mean, they're just going to roll in and then hit the Tigers. Hit the Tigers at the end of next week, and quite honestly, they're just coming off a rough road. Detroit might be able to come in and just take them out as well. So Casey Mize, I love him going into this year so far too. He's really just been tearing it up. His first start was real nice, quite honestly. He pitched about 5.2 innings. He had 6 Ks, no earned runs, and a 0.770 whip. Things were looking great. He's getting great movement on his pitches. X batting average is 133. XERA is a 169. Fastball velocity sitting at 94.1. Really diluting the hard contact. The average exit velocity sitting at 86. Getting guys whiff 42% of the time, creating strikeouts 30% of the time, not allowing guys to barrel, not giving up hard contact, getting great extension. The only thing is he's not producing a lot of ground balls, but where he pitches, half of his games. So you don't really have to worry about, pop flies and things like that and hitting home runs as much because that's a pitcher's park all day. So I like what Mize is doing in this year. Maybe this is a year we get a little bit of a resurgence of his career because I thought he was going to break out and really be it. So Casey Mize, I mean, this isn't like a future, rest of the season kind of pickup, but for the next week, at least I'm starting him against Minnesota, and in a pinch, I will roll him out against the Yankees.
Matt, honestly, fantastic job. I think the only thing I'm going to add there is Casey Mize is still only 20% owned on Yahoo. So pick him up. Matt, once again, great breakdown there on Mize. Don't really have anything else to say. Great job there.
Hey.
So let's move on to this next guy. Let's talk about somebody who I like a little bit better than Casey Mize. Let's talk about Dustin May, Big Red over there with the Dodgers. Finally starting to, show, what he can do out there. In his first start, it was against the Atlanta Braves of all teams. 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, did not give up an earned run. He looked really, really good. He had a single, walk, and an error, that kind of threw the day off, but, otherwise really worked in and out of trouble. It looked good, man. He really can be interesting. 49% owned on Yahoo for Dustin May. 2 good starts. He's at the Nationals for his first one on Monday. Finishes up the weekend. A little bit tougher of a matchup against the Cubs on Sunday. So at least get him in there for that first start. If he looks bad in the first start, maybe we don't roll him out for that second one. If he looks good in the first one, might feel a little bit more comfortable. It is in Los Angeles. It's not in Chicago. So let's see with Dustin May. High-end prospect, has good stuff, good fastball, good secondary stuff as well. Could be somebody that winds up, potentially being on our rosters all year. Well, that remains to be seen, but he plays for a great team where he can win games. If he can give, length at this point in his career, I believe he's 27 or 28. So he really has to show out because don't forget, Clayton Kershaw comes back, Tony Gonsolin comes back. Dustin May really has to continue to pitch good. And he is 27, did call that. And once again, he's a big guy, 6'6", 180, got to put a little bit more weight on there, so he can give that longevity. And how many innings did he throw last year? Only 48. He didn't even pitch at all last year. But 48 innings back in 2023. It was good to see him go 5 in the first start. Like him for next week. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah. No, I mean, everything he says pretty well done, honestly. Dustin May has all the potential in the world. It's really just been health that's been in his way. If he's out there, I'm adding him. Even with all the guys on the peripherals that could possibly come and take his spot. They've already mentioned going to a 6-man rotation, so he's probably going to, I think, as long as he performs, job's his, and he'll keep that 6-man rotation aspect of it. So Dustin May is definitely a great ad for going in. So let's talk about this next guy here, Hayden Wesneski of the Houston Astros. So they got 2 projected starts for him next week as well. He's pitching on Monday against Seattle and then on Sunday against the Angels. Seattle's been kind of like, a little bit up and down. They lost, 4 games in a row to the Athletics. They lost to the Detroit quite a few times. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't really like how he did his first start. Let's put it that way. He got lit up, but, I still am willing to roll him out there. Let's put it that way. The kid has talent. And, even though he got lit up, we got to give him another shot. Look, still 5 innings, 6 Ks, even though the ERA wasn't great, didn't really walk a lot of guys. He only had a 1 whip. You look under the hood a little bit too. And, that's where things are a little bit on the scarcer side, but still has a 94.4 mile per hour fastball. Batting average was actually really 185. xERA was actually 374, which is better than his 540 post. Didn't really get guys to chase, but, created whiffs right under 30%. Ks were right at 30%. And great extension, but, giving up hard contact like crazy, and that's the bad part. Let's hope that he can correct in his next outing. Wesneski has talent. It's just a matter of, are you willing to roll him out? I think the 2 matchups are definitely doable this week. Like I said, with Seattle, they haven't really been able to buy a win, even if you pay them. And then the Angels, it's really just getting past Trout, and, Zach Neto isn't back yet, and I'm not really worried about that team. So, Wesneski should have 2 decent starts and matchups, and if you want to get that edge next week, Wesneski might be your key to success for next week.
Yeah, Matt. Wesneski's only 3% owned on Yahoo. That's going to jump. That's going to be 30% by I would say by the end of Friday. We're recording this on Thursday, so he's honestly. I don't want to say a must add, but close to it, to be honest, because those 2 starts are going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be a tough time. And Matt, you talked about looking under the hood. He only gave up 3 runs in 5 innings. 2 walks? 3 walks and 2 hits. So the whip was really good. Struck out 6 over the 5 innings. You look at what Wesneski did last year, was a 3.86 ERA over 7 starts, 28 games total, 67 innings, 67 strikeouts, 1.13 whip. I could see the whip being a little bit higher. That K per 9's possible. He has good stuff, strikeout stuff. A mid to high 3s ERA is possible. At least get him for those 2 starts next week in deeper leagues. But with that being said, we have some names like Luis Severino, Cookie Carrasco. Haven't talked about him in forever. And then we got some names for you guys to pick over the weekend coming up next. And all right, guys, you got to get the supplies from the site that is made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order parts online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, Supplies House offers experts from an industry-leading service, so you'll always get to talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge in their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. And when it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-protein products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers NSF certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. And guys, if that just doesn't speak to how good Just Ingredients is, like, I don't know what else does. I love Bryce Harper, and there's a reason he's a two-time MVP, right? So when it comes to Just Ingredients, they're clean and transparent ingredients. I personally love that Just Ingredients prioritizes wholesome, nourishing ingredients without artificial junk. And, when it comes to fueling performance, whether you're recovering after a workout or need an energy boost, their grass-fed whey protein and pre-workout delivers real results. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDON for 20% off and more wellness tips. Follow at just.ingredients on Instagram now. And all right, Matt, that is a lot of talking for me, my brother. So I am going to pass this next guy off to you if you don't mind.
Oh, I totally do. Keep talking. I love hearing your voice. I don't feel like talking for the rest of the show.
I do have a nice voice, maybe not at like an anchor, news anchor, but I think it's okay. I'll be honest.
I mean, you're no James Earl Jones, but you're all right.
Exactly. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I'll take the middle.
Sure. I'll leave my joke for off camera because it's inappropriate. I'm gonna keep going here. All right. Let's talk about Luis Severino of the Athletics. Severino had a decent, had a good first outing and then got lit up by the Cubs in the second outing. Went out against Seattle, put out 6 innings, 6 Ks, no earned runs, a 117 whip. But everybody's getting tuckered so far this year, and even through his 6 innings with 6 Ks, still managed to put up. Yeah, right. Go to 7.5 inning, 7.5 ERA with a 1.5 whip. Honestly, look, Kyle Tucker's just a monster. It's really hard to get past him. But here's the thing: this is kind of more like a desperate play. If you're in a points league or in like a weekly league, I might run him. I might decide to. If my pitching's just kind of beat up, or if I don't really have the great matchups. Severino really does not have great matchups. He's going up against San Diego at the beginning of the week, who's been pretty decent, and then playing against the Mets. The Mets have been strong. I think they're getting their prime to really kick it into gear soon. So it's a rough matchup, but it's something worth mentioning. Maybe in a pinch, in a daily league, I'm probably not doing the San Diego start. But at the end of the week, I'm probably going to consider it, depending on where I stand in either strikeouts or just in general, and I need to get the counting stats. If ERA can go out the window and it's just strikeouts, yeah, I'll probably roll Sevy out there. But if I need the ERA to stay where it is, I'm not doing it. I probably won't touch him with a 10-foot pole, but he definitely needs to be discussed. Points leagues, probably going to avoid him all around. It's just going to be too volatile. He'll probably end up with negative points. So, yeah, I'm probably more of like a head-to-head roto and make a decision, daily.
Matt, that's well said. To be honest, I'm not even gonna say too much else about Sevy here. It's interesting that he's still 48% owned on Yahoo. It's probably in anticipation of this 2-start week. I can't really even say deeper league play because he is 48% owned on Yahoo, but there's not a lot of great pitchers under 50% owned on Yahoo going into this week. So Sevy, somebody who's under 50% owned, you're in a super deep league and you just want the numbers, go for it. Matt, great breakdown. Don't really have too much else to add on Sevy. Let's move on to a New York Yankee here. Carlos Carrasco kind of almost fits the bill of the Luis Severino. Not super excited about him. Not a lot of other options. Carrasco's at Detroit on Tuesday, and then on Sunday he is at San Francisco. A little bit better matchups than Severino. Carrasco is older, been chronically injured, has dealt with health issues, didn't look good so far. In his first outing. 2% owned on Yahoo, so out there in way more leagues than Severino. This is a dart, though. I'm going to be honest. This is for your real deep leagues. This is for your 15s, your AL only, stuff like that. And the matchups aren't bad either. So there's that. And that's what I got on Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah. I kind of don't have anything to really add. You pretty much just said everything that needs to be said. So I'm just going to move on. Let's talk about guys we need to stream this weekend. And, segue into that. There's a good streaming candidate going in, and that's Eduardo Rodriguez of the Diamondbacks. He is 9% owned, so this is an all league play. I think that it's a decent matchup going against Washington. They've been struggling, even though James Wood has been pretty good. Cruz is still, kind of like a missile that refuses to go off. So there's that. The only one that you really got to really worry about is Bell and Ruiz at this point. Those three are a little bit dangerous, but I think Rodriguez can go out there and do some damage. Last outing, yeah, he did get hit a little bit, but he looked strong in that inning, that outing. Fastball looked good. Stuff just looked good. I think he'll be able to bounce back in this one, at least be able to post up and get you the strikeouts. We'll see how it goes. In a pinch, I'm definitely rolling him out if I need to catch up in Ks, and he still might surprise us in ERA and WHIP.
Yeah, Matt. Honestly, you kind of mentioned it. This Nationals team, the hitting has kind of been weird. Abrams has been pretty good. Lowe and Ruiz have been solid. Like the guys that we thought were going to be hitting, like the Wood and the Garcias and the Cruz, kind of just haven't been hitting yet. So this lineup's going to be hit or miss right now. I think E-Rock still go out there get the job done. It might be like 5 innings, 3 earned, 6 Ks, something along the lines of that. The whip might be a little bit iffy. But you know what? Like you said, if you need some strikeouts, potential, maybe possible win, it's in the cards for a guy like E-Rod. And you mentioned 9% owned on Yahoo. So he's a little bit of, he's out there in a lot of leagues. So I'd go out there and snag him if you need some strikeouts this weekend. Let's move on to a Braves pitcher. Let's talk Grant Holmes. We talked about him, kind of coming into the year, kind of like a last, kind of pick at starting pitcher. Didn't really get the job done in his first start, but he did go up against the Dodgers, 4 runs, walks, struck out 3, 4 innings. The 4s went wild for Grant Holmes here. So I mean, it's going to be interesting for him this weekend. He goes up against whatchamacallit here. He goes up against Miami. I like the matchup. It is in Atlanta. Would have preferred it to be in Miami, better park to pitch in, but Atlanta's not the worst park to pitch in the league. Could give you some strikeouts, hopefully can get you 5 in a win. We're hoping for that. I'm not guaranteeing it. 32% owned on Yahoo. He's out there in a decent amount of leagues too. Little bit. I think I like him a little bit more than Erod, but still don't love either of them. But they are widely available, so there's not a bunch of great options that are widely available. So we're trying to get you what we can.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, you always got to find a diamond in a rough, or at least somebody you can kind of roll out and kind of get something. It's not like the worst thing. Grant Holmes, I'm a fan. We'll see where this takes us. You did a good job, Dom. And before I even get into this next guy, we'll just have to wait because we still got some good streamers, and I think we're saving the better half for the end of the show. So stick around right after this. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories is attending a concert last year. The energy is absolute excitement and unforgettable. I mean, quite honestly, just went to a Blake Shelton concert. Those vibes. Now Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events. with their new feature called Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff for all shows incredible. It only shows incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking for tickets and to an upcoming event, for this game, and I use a Game Time app, which I've been doing way before I've even worked for Locked On. With Game Time Picks, I found an amazing deal. I could even see a view from my seat before buying it. Made sure I didn't sit behind the pole. The super deals was particularly impressive, offering great seats and unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in-one pricing shows the total cost up front, which obviously there's no surprises, which is great because it's like, found these awesome seats, and then there's a $75 fee. Now I can't afford it. This sucks. So try again. It takes all the guesswork out of buying tickets to Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account. Use a code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Use a code Locked On MLB LOCKED MLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Look, you want to beat your league to the waivers. You want to know who to prioritize. You want to know how the hell you could just win your league. There's only one way. It's joining us on Subtext, becoming a member of the Diamond Club. Look, we're gonna hit you up with prospect call-ups before your friends get them with the sleeper app. We're gonna tell you all the great stuff to do. Plus, you're gonna be able to ask us questions. What do you think of this trade? Should I add this guy? What should I do? All that. Just click the link in the description below. Try us out for 2 weeks. I promise you won't quit. So just stick around. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk some baseball in this latter half of the show. And Reese Olson of the Detroit Tigers. I actually like the matchup for this weekend. He's playing the White Sox. Luis Robert really hasn't gotten off to a real good start yet, but I think that's eventually going to come, even though I'm rocking the White Sox hat tonight. I think he's going to be able to beat him up. Quite honestly, I think that Reese Olson is going to be able to do it. Yeah, he got hit around against the Dodgers, but it's the Dodgers. Whereas, now we're going from top end competition to not even bottom of bottom. It's like, oh my God, worst team in sports in quite some time. So I think that Reese Olson should be able to go out there and do some damage. Even in this last outing, the FIP was a little bit better than his ERA, obviously, and he still looked good. Fastball was still sitting at 95.5. X batting average was 246. Actually, his XERA was more like a 359. Average X velocity was a little high at 91.1 miles an hour. But again, it is what it is. He's getting guys to chase at 35% of the time, getting the whiff about 25% of the time, creating strikes 25% of the time, doing his thing, not allowing guys to barrel and creating a lot of ground balls, all plus sign. He should be able to go out there, get a good start. I don't think he's going to give up a lot of runs, but anything can happen. There's just that luck of just being in Detroit. And then there's you're playing against the White Sox. So the probability and odds are on your side to have a better start than not. So I'm rolling Reese Olson's out as a great stream for the weekend.
Man, great take on Olson. I'm big on him too. And the thing is, like you said, he played the Dodgers. There was an intentional walk that he had to throw in there. I think there was a lot of bad luck. Matt, you talked about the fastball velocity. It's actually up from last year. And Olson's fastball was one of his worst pitches last year. He was throwing it 24% of the time. He's got it down to 17% this year. So if the velocity's up and he's throwing it less, I like that. He's got the sinker up to 25%. He threw it only 20% last year. I like the way he's mixing up his pitches from the way he did last year. He's still only 25 years old, Reese Olson is. He plays in the Tigers. He's got Skubal. He's got Mize. He's got Flaherty all there to mentor him. He's in a really great spot for a young starting pitcher with good stuff. I think he's somebody that you could add for this weekend. 28% owned on Yahoo, Reese Olson is. And he might be somebody that sticks around, especially if he goes out there. I could see Reese Olson go out there, give you 6 strong, 8 strikeouts, maybe 1 earned run with a solid whip. And he's like somebody, he just rails off a bunch of good starts in a row. And you look back by the All-Star break, wow, Reese Olson's not actually, but he's giving you like SP5 numbers. It's definitely possible. I'm not probable, not predicting it, not calling for it, but it's something that could happen if you pick him up this weekend. And you never know where the baseball gods are, especially the fantasy baseball gods, are going to take you. But I do like Reese Olson a lot. Probably one of my favorite pitchers that we've talked about so far today. Let's move on to this next guy. Interesting name, Griffin Canning. If I remember correctly, Griffin Canning originally signed with the Braves this offseason. I was super excited about it. Not sure if it was a health thing or whatever wound up happening, but I believe they let him go. Winds up with the Mets. Goes out there, has a pretty solid first start, 5.2 innings, only 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Canning has always had upside, man. He's always just been one of those guys that, like, if he figures it out and gets it all together, he could be really good. Not counting on he's 29 years old. I don't think it's going to be an age 29 breakout for Canning here, but he's somebody that you could roll out there this weekend. If you're, I don't want to say in a pinch, what's his 5% owned? He actually is widely available. So if you are in a pinch, he is out there. It's Toronto though. Bichette's been hitting. Vladdy's been okay. They're a lineup that can just catch you slipping on any day. And Canning's a guy who slips fairly often. Not my favorite name of the day, probably more of a deeper league cut. He's just somebody that can go out there and has the potential to give you a quality start. He did go 5.2 in the first one, and it was against Houston, and he didn't get rocked. So let's see where things go. Granted, Griffin Canning is an every game, and I do like the changeover to the Mets. Look, Clay Holmes hasn't had the best start either, but somebody has become more interesting, after going over to the Mets.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like Canning. I like the matchup. We'll see what happens. Let's roll him out. Great takedown and move on. So about Brady Singer of the Cincinnati Reds. So they're going up against the Brewers, and Brewers have kind of been up and down, but they've been putting up points. Even when the Yankees threw up 20 on them, they still had nine runs. And there's a couple games where they're putting up like multi-run games, and that's the thing. It's a little bit more on the rougher end, but I mean, also Singer's not pitching at home, so that's a plus. He's not pitching in Great American Hitter Park. He looked fantastic in his first outing. He posted 7 innings, 8 Ks, got the win, no earned runs, 0.43 whip, and it was against Texans at home. So, not Texans, Rangers. I apologize, Texas Rangers. And looked good. Now going to Milwaukee. Yeah, Milwaukee can hit. They got some dangerous bats between Contreras and Churio and others. But it doesn't really scare me. Singer looks good. I mean, I'm not even going to front. Never really known for his fastball, but the expected batting average is 131. Expected ERA is at a 148. Getting guys to whiff at 34.9% of the time so far in this last outing. 33% strikeout rate, K rate. I'm liking it. Getting good extension. Not giving up a lot of hard contact. Singer could be a dangerous little start this weekend. I think he might be somebody that surprises everybody and goes out and just kind of like handles business and is a really good streamer for the weekend. So I'm adding him. I'm starting him this weekend if I had to.
Yeah, Matt, good take on Singer. 39% owned on Yahoo. As you mentioned, he looked good in that first start against Texas. He had some prospect buzz when he was coming back up with the Kansas City Royals. And it didn't really pan out. He had a good 2022. 2023 was bad. 2024 was okay. It was definitely a build on, a kid who we had some hype around. Matt, good take on him. He's somebody who could become interesting, similar to a Reese Olson type. Milwaukee, it's not a super easy task. They got some good bats in that lineup. So, they're 2-4 so far. So, small sample size, but they haven't been great. Singer might be able to go out there and take advantage of that. So he, once again, 39% owned. He pitches, the Cincinnati's been good with starting pitching the last few years. The guys like Hunter Green, Lodolo has been good when healthy. So, they got something going on over there. Maybe they've unlocked the next level here with Singer. Another guy. Hey, listen, at the beginning of the year, you want to be picking guys like this up just to see where it takes you. You never know who's going to be the guys that have those, the breakout years any year. So, you know what? Take advantage of it while you can. Matt, anything else to add? We got a couple extra seconds here. If you want to talk about anything, go ahead, my brother.
I guess we could talk a little fantasy baseball that isn't a player, and we could talk about how I'm abusing Dom in our league.
I thought you were going to talk about the listening league, if anything.
That too. That's another one.
Talk about.
But I had to throw it in there. So Dom's getting his booty hole handed to him.
If we're taking it that far, we need to talk about who the champion of the league is, number 2. All right, we can talk about how I beat Matt in the championship in that league the last 2 years. If we're taking it that far, all right.
I mean, I'm a little spiteful, but listener league, good competition out there. Sorry you had to play us week 1. When we put our minds together, that team is loaded in a 12-man league. I'm sorry, but not sorry. That's what this season has pretty much brought to us this year. We're actually having a good year overall, except for Dom against me. So, So that's what I had to put in the input. But guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this show because we love doing it every day. And the way you do that, share us. And when you're done, check out our boys Sully over at Locked On MLB. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Yeah.